Bobby Ryan, you upset some people with a tweet you posted. Just threw it out there in the middle of the Masters.
I
College
saw that.
hockey so bad.
Man, well, I was
Would
watching
you
a
like
repeat of one
to
of the
walk
games
it
that
back?
was on. No,
Do you want to walk it
no,
back? Do you want to like
no.
All right, so give your side of this.
So I actually responded to a couple people that said, "Here's a list of the great players that have come through," and I said, I never said there weren't good players in every place that hockey's played. College, the CHL, the minors. There are good players that are going to stand out and make it to the league from everywhere. But when I'm watching the third and fourth line in college hockey, I'm going, oh my goodness, what is happening out there? And everybody's got cages on, so everybody's running around a million miles an hour because they're not worried about getting stuck in the face. They're not worried about getting punched in the head after a scrum. I was so frustrated watching one of the games that I watched that I'm not walking it back. Probably shouldn't have tweeted it, but Twitter doesn't pay me, so I tweeted it. But I can't watch the game. I can't.
Okay, this is a serious question. Do you think the CHL, Canadian Hockey League, is that much better than NCAA hockey?
So, and Yorkie, you can back me up on this if you agree. And I think most people would. This is where it gets interesting is if you're putting a CHL team out against a college team, you're going to have 16-year-olds playing against 23 and 24-year-olds in some cases. Yeah. And that is a major difference. But if you're taking the best players, and I'm just going to use the 19 and 20-year-olds from junior, and we'll say the overagers, right? The overagers from junior and the 19-year-olds that have come out of the draft versus the 19 and 20-year-olds in the NHL, I don't think it's close. I think the CHL would mop the floor with them. Where college gets better is they have 23 and 24-year-olds that played a couple years of junior, deferred to play more hockey, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think across the board, the CHL is a much better place for 19 and 20-year-old hockey players.
All right, so I've watched a lot of the OHL because my son was there. The OHL is a mini NHL. That's what it is. It's a miniature version of the NHL. They run the same rules. Get the half visors on. They play a ton of games. To me, it's the best place to play if you are a premier player. If you're a guy that's in the top of the food chain, it's great. I don't love the OHL as far as developing people. College beats the OHL. They beat the pants off the OHL in that thing because all you got to do, and I know this from playing there, all you have to do in the OHL is worry about playing hockey. So true, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. But if you're a really, really good player, you're going to get developed there because they're going to play the snot out of you. You're going to play all the time. You're going to play a ton of games. You're going to get good coaching. You got the best of the best, and you're just doing it more often than you're in college, where college is better for the late bloomer. It's better for the late bloomer. And at the end of the day, Bob, you just said it. If you're good, you're good. It doesn't matter where you play. You're going to find a way to get there.
True. Very true. Yeah.
I will say, though, I guess in the defense of all that is there's too many leagues. It feels, or there's too many teams, right? Of all of the CHL teams across the country, add in all the NCAA D1 schools. On top of that, people playing in Europe. It's just watered down. You just can't possibly put that many people on the ice and have that much talent. And I think that's your point.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And then the other side of this is, and Yorkie just said it best, college is much better for the late bloomer because they didn't get the sniffs at 16, maybe 17 to play in that league. And this is my defense to this is because they weren't good enough to play in that league. So they went to another one that gave them a chance to become better players, but they're doing it at 23 and 24. Right. That's my, and I do agree with you. There's too many leagues, and it's very hard for a 16-year-old to decide I'm never going to go to college because I have to sign this contract in the CHL. So that's why a lot of American players will go the different route. I think it's too young to make them make a decision, but it's the reality. I had to go through it. It's not fun because I wanted to go to college. I wanted to play college hockey, but I'm glad I didn't at this point.
Why did you want to go to college hockey?
Because I was an American kid that grew up watching college hockey. I wanted to play at the University of Michigan, committed. And I never knew a thing about the OHL, the WHL until the year beforehand when they sat me down and said, you want to come up here? And I looked at the Saginaw Spirit, who were just starting, Plymouth Whalers. I went to all these games and I was like, why would I ever choose to play college hockey over this experience right here? I could play in this league next year. And then I ultimately made the decision that I did. But most American kids don't know much about it until they're 12 to 15 and they're starting to look at it. And I had no clue. I was playing in California, right? No clue what it was until the year before.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm just curious because you and I have never had this conversation. What switched you to make you go to the O rather than you just didn't want to wait to play college?
I didn't want to go to the NTDP program. I wasn't sold on the experience. And that had a little bit to do with it. But at the same time, I looked at this and thought I can play 68 games guaranteed next year versus whatever the NTDP was going to be playing. I'm going to practice every single day. I'm going to get paid. You're not getting paid, but you're going to have money in your pocket to go to lunch. And I had come off a tumultuous past. I didn't have that luxury otherwise. So I had to make a decision to do that. But what ultimately swayed me was Bobby Clark and Mike Fuda kind of all sitting me down. My agent sat me down, who was Mark Guy, and said, Bobby, I was a little naive, but nobody told me I was going to be a top 5 pick. They said you're going to be a very early first round pick. I just had no clue. I knew I was a good player. I didn't know I was going to be in that area. So when they told me that, they were like, take your shot, but go develop as a player and you'll get more of that development as a player in the OHL. And I think I did.
When you're in the pipeline like that, I like to call that the pipeline. You're in the pipeline for success where you're going to have a lot of people. You got to be good to do it, but that's the perfect storm when you go to the OHL, because the odds are, if you do everything in your power and you're a good player, your odds, they always say the odds of making the NHL aren't that high. Well, they go up drastically when you're in that pipeline of being a good player, good situation. You got Newport Sports, lots of people around you helping you. And then it's up to you as the kid. So that's to me, that's when you do the junior thing, because you're going to get there quicker. You just are.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to figure out where Owen Sound was?
Man, that was up there. I did. I had to. Well, I remember Mike Fuda called me after the draft, and I didn't watch the draft. I had no idea. I hadn't made a decision either way. And I got a call from Fuchs and the Owen Sound Attack, and they was on speakerphone, and they called me, and I was outside playing lacrosse with my billet family and had no idea that the draft was happening. So Fuchs was like, congratulations. I said, oh, thank you very much. He said, we'd like the opportunity to have you up to pitch you. And I said, okay, sounds good. I gave him like non-committal answers all the way across the board. And I guess he told me this a couple of weeks ago when I was in Owen Sound. He said, I hung up the phone and thought I lost my job because you had no care in the world. I did Google it later that afternoon and found out where it was. And the pictures didn't really help the situation. But when I got there, I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with the city. I was like, I'm not going there. But absolutely loved the place when I got there. Yeah.
All right. I never talked to you about your OHL story.